big thing to take away if this is a real patch is that supports are gonna be way weaker and the game is gonna be more fair for DPS players and especially tanks to play. I'm gonna do this fast because there's something that's gonna be wrong, but I really feel like this is gonna be like a sustained patch. And I think characters like Ryan and shield characters will get better because they can shield and then they can sustain healed, right? They can be sustained healed. Characters that can't shield, like Mauga, will basically permanently receive 20% less healing if they're being focused, which is like a massive nerf. Even though Mauga is getting 100 more HP, I think the same for Roadhog. Ramatra is really good right now. Ramatra is getting a big HP buff, so I'm not gonna put him low. Actually, I'm gonna put him in B. Ramatra is gonna take way longer to kill you, which means in the Nemesis form, he's gonna punch you way more, which means you probably won't die unless you're mega out of position, right? Again, you gotta keep in mind everything is just tank here. D.Va, also not great, because like, yeah, D.Va is defense matrix, but the only buff she's getting is to her ult. While ult buffs do matter, they don't matter as much as sustained damage, which is why I'm gonna put Doom in pretty high as well. Junker Queen, bleed damage. Junker Queen is a rush character, right? Where you rush in with Lucio and you burst someone down really quickly and then you disengage, right? Junker Queen is insanely strong as long as she has Shout On, and then she becomes a lot weaker. It's gonna be long sustained fights. So I'll actually put Junker Queen in B because she's not gonna sustain. Orisa got like a very big nerf actually this patch because she got no changes, like no buffs at all other than the 50 HP increase. So Orisa is actually very weak. Orisa will not stop you from damaging her, which means she gets 20% less healing, which means you can actually die. Like, tanks overall are winners in this patch, other than Wrecking Ball, by the way. Wrecking Ball is completely useless because the only thing he got was 50 HP. Yeatle said he's working with them on a Wrecking Ball rework, so I think maybe mid-season or the season after we'll get a Wrecking Ball complete rework. So I think they're not worrying about him. They want to keep him shit to make him really strong after the rework. Which brings me to Hanzo. He cannot one-shot headshot and he cannot two-shot body shot. Useless as fuck. I want to put Widow in useless as fuck tier as well. She can mathematically one-shot characters on 30 meters. But usually on long-range maps where Widow is good, like Circuit, like Junkertown, Widow is further away than 30 meters. 30 meters is like almost mid-range. This is not in range, guys. This will not one-shot. This is not long, right? This is like a distance where Widow can die easily to like an Ashe or a Soldier. This is like a massive nerf. I do think characters that have sustained damage are gonna be the best characters. Stuff like Ashe Dynamite that hits multiple targets is gonna stop everyone that is burning from healing, right? I think Soldier is gonna be up there, and I do think Cass is gonna be up there, below Soldier. But here is what's gonna be really OP. Torb, the turret, is just gonna make it attack someone for 1 HP, they can't heal as much. 20% less healing. The more targets you tag, the better, right? Soldier can just like, I can go over with someone and do like a bit of damage, and it's 2 seconds. Keep in mind, the DPS passive makes it so they can't heal for 2 seconds. Which brings me to Sojourn. She's still mega broken, right? Yeah, she won't be able to one-shot headshot anymore, right? Because right now it does 190, so you need like a headshot and like 1 bullet or 2 bullets of the spam. But again, Sojourn is getting a buff to her projectile size on both, right? Sojourn is going to do more damage sustained on her spam, and she's going to do more damage, or she's going to hit more shots on Railgun. She's going to put constant pressure on. She's just still the best DPS in the game, probably. Zarya is just getting a change to her beam width. She can definitely sustain longer than like Junker Queen, but I don't think she's going to be great. The reason Reinhardt is not good right now, if you think about it, is the enemy team rushes, walks past him, or like forces his shield down, and then he becomes useless, right? But like Ryan is going to be about as deadly on close range because he is getting a damage buff, right? The charge can still one-shot DPS characters with the buff. Bastion, I think, is gonna be still good because he can tag a lot of people, deal a lot of damage, and he can sustain. But Bastion has a big hitbox, so I think he's gonna be a bit weaker because targets have more HP, but he deals damage over time a lot, so I don't think he's gonna be mega weak. Echo, again, like Echo is actually not benefiting from the buffs that much. For the laser beam of Echo to deal full damage, the target needs to be below half HP, and stickies are not getting buffed, and left click is not getting buffed. So Echo is gonna be in less situations where she gets people to below half, which means she's just gonna be weaker overall, for sure. Like, I almost want to put her in C tier. Genji, I don't know, dude, like it's so hard to predict, man. Genji is getting a massive buff to his projectile size on both left click and right click, which means on paper, he should just be more consistent with damage overall, but his blade is gonna be even weaker than before. Even though it's gonna swing faster, you need more swings to kill now, even with nano, right? So it is like the biggest projectile size buff. I think Genji is gonna be okay. Junkrat, I am willing to bet. Well, I don't want to put him in hard throw. Junkrat gets his value from coming around the corner, flanking you and one-shotting you, and that you can't one-shot anymore, right? You can't do the one-shot mine left-click combo anymore. Mei is getting no changes, but Mei has a lot of sustain, and Mei is always good if you place the walls correctly, so I'm gonna put Mei in A tier. I think Pharah is gonna be busted, because it sounds like on paper that like everything is like more consistent with her. From the numbers, I do think Pharah is gonna be OP and then they're gonna nerf her mid-season. I think they just want people to play the new rework, and I think she's gonna be more fun to play, and I think she's gonna be more fun to play against, because again, the one thing that Pharah can't do is stay in the air indefinitely. So I really like the rework. If it's a real rework, I like it, but it's gonna be too strong at the start for sure. Reaper, I think Reaper is gonna be weaker, because Reaper doesn't benefit from the hit size increases, like the consistency nearly as much as hit scan characters. I think Tracer is gonna be dog shit. Like, yeah, she's gonna die less, but everyone else is also gonna die less. And like a big part of what makes Tracer so strong is the fact that she can one clip, right? Or two clip. I think she is actually gonna go from S tier to dog shit, actually. The funny thing is, if they put Tracer on 200 HP, she would be mega OP, because then she would never die. But with 175 HP, there's still a lot of things in the game that can kill her. She just didn't get enough of an HP buff to make it sustainable to play her, in my opinion. The thing with Sombra is, she's like kind of a burst character, in the sense that she goes in, viruses, shoots, and then if they don't die, you don't get enough value. She cannot sustain long by herself in team fights. She's not a character that sits with your team a lot. So I do think she's gonna be very weak. Sim is gonna be situationally great. Just laser beam people and do a lot of damage over time. And here is the tough part. You have to keep in mind that I'm rating supports in strength compared to other supports. Support is way weaker as a role right now. So just because I put a support in S tier now is not gonna mean that they're mega OP. I'm just saying compared to other supports. But supports are way, way weaker. I wanna say, this is my prediction, and I might be completely wrong, like Lucio is the biggest winner. Like, I think Lucio is gonna be the one character that's stronger than before. And I also think Brick is gonna be pretty insane. Like Deathball metas, where you play around together, you play behind your tank, and you just sustain a lot. Characters that do single target healing will not be as valuable, simply based on the fact that if one person is getting isolated and targeted, they will get less healing. I do think Lifeweaver provides a lot of sustain overall for the entire team though, because he can be so selective with his heals, and he puts out a lot of healing. I think characters that deal damage in the support role are gonna be a lot weaker than characters that provide more healing. Again, like stuff like Immortality and Lamp will also become weaker, because there's gonna be less situations where a character is getting bursted and you save them with an immortality, right? The fights will last longer, and by fights lasting longer, you make long cooldowns less valuable. I know that sounds backwards, because you would think, oh, in a long fight I will have Suzu twice, but I don't think fights will last as long to where you get like 3 Suzus all of the time, right? I think they're just gonna last a bit longer to where you still don't get 2 Suzus or 2 Lambs, but you will force them out and then they won't do as much. So I want to put these characters lower. Illari is going to be fucking dog shit, I think. Anti is going to do less. Anti already got nerfed last season to where it lasts half a second shorter, right? And now with more HP, there's going to be even less situations where Anti just wins the fight by itself. I think Ana is not affected as much as Immortality characters. Mercy is an interesting one. I don't know, man. Like, Mercy can self-sustain longer because she can, when she heals, she gets more HP back, right? If Mercy heals, she used to get 25% HP herself, now she gets 40, and she has more HP. So it's gonna be really hard to kill a fucking Mercy if she has good movement. I'm actually gonna put Mercy in A, because I think Mercy Pharah is gonna go fucking hard. Mercy Sodan is gonna go fucking hard. And Zen is gonna be good too, I think. I think this is my prediction on the meta. Again, assuming this patch is real. I just know for a fact that the meta is going to change up drastically. I am actually very confident in my tank picks and my DPS picks. But again, there might be a few outliers. There will be a few outliers that we haven't thought about that suddenly are going to be mega OP. I think Torb is actually like sleeper pick, like mega broken. But otherwise, I'm very confident in my tank picks and my DPS picks. I'm not very confident in my support picks. big thing to take away, if this is a real patch, is that supports are going to be way weaker and the game is going to be more fair for DPS players and especially tanks to play. And the support players are going to cry like little fucking babies because they're not going to feel like gods anymore, but this is good.